There we go. All right. Welcome. Welcome. I'm Mark Finstrom. I'm with Highline School District. You are?
Chuck Amos with GuideK12.
And you are back there?
Rob New, former superintendent and consultant to GuideK12, and dear friend of Mark.
Notice how he threw that one in there. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through two products that are used. They're both through GuideK12. We're going to look at, the reason we're going to look at these is it talks about tax implications as well as boundaries and a few other things. So you might have seen a presentation last year that I did on boundaries because I was going through the process of redesigning our district boundaries to be able to account for basically growth. We were adding a new school. We had to build in facility accommodations, we'll put it that way. But what we're going to do here is I've got a few little slides. I'm going to briefly talk on these because we're going to talk about each one of these as we get into the software. And I'll actually demonstrate it on the software, and you ask me questions and I can demonstrate some of this for you so that you can see it. Anybody here a GuideK12 user? All right, yeah, I know North Shore has it. All right, so this is actually the GuideK12 software that I use to do all of our boundary lines changing. And I also use it to do snapshots. So when you look at this, I can actually pull up how many kids from each school are in a certain location and find out all that information. I can filter on many characteristics. Those characteristics can be grade, free and reduced lunch, ELL status. It could be on a language. It could be on ethnicity. I can do individual schools. I can drill down. I can get down to a block. I can get down to a house. I can tell you how many people live in a property. I can tell you what that property is, basically. I can give you even the value of that house according to the tax laws in Washington. So I can also do what this is called selecting the area, but really it's a buffer. So if you tell me I want to know 1 mile radius around a school, how many students live inside that area, it's just going to do a protractor circle around that. It's going to give me all the students in there. And it'll tell me all the students by all grade levels. And then I can filter it down independently. Then I can look here. So this one's put together as examining choice impact. We have a lot of kids who move around the district. They do not stay in their home school. So they actually enroll out and they go into different ones. There's a huge impact of that when you start talking about the migration of your student population, because I may have 445 kids who are down at Raisbeck Aviation, but they come from everywhere. And so they're drawing kids out. And I've got students at Choice, I got students at Big Picture, and then I also have an IB program at another school, so that pulls. So it allows me to make sure that I'm evening out all of our enrollments. But all of what you saw was green up until right now, right? So if you look at see all those screens are green. Now you go into the next area, planner. Planner is where you actually have the control to modify space. And this is where I'll show you, I'm going to go in there and I can draw a new line. And I can actually say, what if the boundary moved here? What's the impact of that? And then I can run reports out to be able to see what kind of impact there is on the building from that perspective. So how many students are in there, plus, minus, deltas. And I can put into the software how many classrooms are in each school, how much student population can go into that school, and then that will help me to control that. Then I have some additional controls. This is not planner, this is called advisor. So advisor will give me graphing capabilities inside there, allows me to then see the same information just in graphical format, gives me the numbers on there, and I have filters on the side to be able to control that. I will go in and show you these so that you can see what it looks like real time. Different view, this one's special ed and gender count. Longitudinal reports, so I can see over multiple years. Then I can start to look at concentrations. So where are the heaviest base of my students, and do I need to change anything? And then we have a school search function. We actually have two running right now. We have a 1819 and a 1920. So if our students want to be able, or parents want to be able to see where they're going currently and where they're going to go, they can actually go in there. They'll see their elementary, their middles, and their highs. And any choice schools that are in part of that. And then you get into these advanced searches inside there where you can say, okay, I only want to see the K-6. I only want to see the choice schools. All right, so let me take you into the actual software. So this is live data. I'm in what is called Planner right now. There's no scenario selected. A scenario is I want to go ahead and say, if I change this, what is it going to do? So I'm going to first go in. This is our current boundaries inside there. And I'm looking at the elementary map. So I'm going to change something real quick because I want to actually be in a scenario. So I'm going to go up here to scenario. I'm going to open a scenario. And which one should I use? I use this one. Okay, not much changed on the screen, right? Because really, I didn't do anything other than I selected a scenario, and up in that upper corner it says what the scenario is underneath Highline Schools. It's for OSPI. So OSPI sent me a request. They said, can you send me the boundaries for your new schools? So I said, okay, I'll pull that up. But I'm going to go in here real quick because these are called overlays. All those lines that you see on the screen are defined by a very specific criteria. That criteria comes off of a checklist over here on the side. So right now, I have both middle and elementary schools identified. I'm also looking at the elementary schools, and I have their locations, their zones, and I have the base imagery. Just watch as I click off things. Okay, so the dark line was the middle schools. Now if I leave that there and I put the high schools in, now you see another high school kind of turns red. If I take off the middle school, you just see that there's a lighter red. Then I can go and I can get rid of the school name, or I can get rid of where the school is and just have the name. We are actually printing all of our own maps now for the district. We don't go to an outsource. I basically blow this up on a 86-inch screen that's running 4,000 resolution. I build my own maps. I got all the streets. I can do it in color. I can do it in black and white. Send it to the print shop. Print shop will print them. Schools pay for them. It's a lot easier than we used to outsource to somebody, and they charge us $6 a map. And didn't have all the streets on it. And if a school actually says, I don't really care to have all that data, I only want mine, I can just highlight theirs, pull theirs up. Okay, so currently, all I have selected is I'm looking at elementary. I have the name on there, and I have the little dot of the school. So I'm going to remove those because they're kind of in the way for me for this presentation. So each one of those colors represents a current elementary school. Okay, that is a current elementary school. And if I wanted to, I can come up here and I can select this tool. This one is called the Advanced tool. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I want to do a layer. And I want to see the 2019 elementary boundaries. Okay. And now I'm going to come over here. Oh, Sorry, I also have to do this. On this side, I'm going to select the 2019 boundaries. And now you can see a dark line that's over top of the colored background. The colored background is 1819 boundaries. The black line is 1920 and going forward. So you can say, I moved a tiny bit of that color into this school. I moved a lot of this color into this school. I moved some of this color into that school. I moved a lot of this color into that school. Why did I do that? Well, we have 20,000 kids. We have 33 schools. And we were building a brand new elementary down here on this end. So in the Des Moines area, their school only held 318 kids. The new school holds 650. The boundary was designed to feed in 330 kids. So when you look at that gray boundary, that was only supposed to give them the 330 kids. Well, I have to fill them up. Well, I couldn't. I actually could not fill them up without impacting all the buildings. So really, there's only 425 kids that I could find, even by grabbing some of that red and some of the green. So that told us, all right, I can't fill it without impacting all the schools. However, what I did have was I had a challenge program down here in this school that had 110 kids in it. Well, I've now impacted this school because I took part of their boundary. And we also know that King County's authorized a whole bunch of construction down here. So this school is going to operate at under 400 for a 600 student capacity building for 2 years. And I'm going to move one of the programs out of there to get them to that. So I'm going to move Challenge out of there into that Des Moines school. It's going to move the Des Moines school up to 600, and it's going to leave the other one lower and allow me to capture students who come in from the neighboring areas. So just take a look. It's very easy to draw these lines, and I'll draw some lines here in a little bit, and you guys can tell me what you want to see. All right?
Mark,
Yes.
so you say it's live data. Do you have it configured so that you upload, refresh student data like nightly or weekly? Or
Yeah.
how does
All
that-
data
how
is
does that work?
uploaded nightly.
Yeah.
So we have a...
It must just be scripted, so you just
Yes.
Send it up to them?
And,
Okay.
and in fact, on the side over there, the data that's on the side is representative of the elementary. So there's 8,883
Yeah.
elementary students as of last night. And it gives you their breakdown. So there's 1,145 of those are in special ed. 3,181 of them are ELL students. 7,076 reside in their home school areas. But we have transferring within the district 1,484. So we have 1,484 kids who leave their home school and go to another school. That could be because Ellen lives in the Cascade area, but she teaches in the Des Moines area, and she wants her child to come with her to Des Moines. So that's one. Challenge program, that's another. Dual language program, that's another. We have broken up our district into dual language program schools. So there will be combo schools. So what will happen is Chuck teaches at the dual language school, or runs the dual language school, and I run the non-dual language school. Parents get an option to stay in a non-dual language school right now or go dual language. So if they are in the dual language boundary and they don't want to go there, then they're cross-enrolled over into my school, and vice versa. So there's teams in there. We have a Vietnamese, Spanish, English school. We're working on a Somali English school, and then we have a bunch of Spanish English schools. And then you can see down below there's additional information such as transferring into the district. There are 295 students who live outside of this boundary. And if you really wanted to see that, I go here and I click on this called dot distribution. And now it shows me where all these kids live. So in that particular instance, I can see all those 200 65 kids, because there are 95, they're all outside here. In fact, I can click on one of them. Oh, sorry. Can't be in that. Well, I am just not doing my job here today. It's because I got to be in the other plan. I'm in Planner. Sorry. In do that same thing here. So I'm in the green one. Elementary. It's got to catch up. Google's taking all my bandwidth. So inside here, though, all those colors are representative over on the side for each of the schools. So anybody who goes into Beverly Park is kind of that purple. The darker the purple, just the more congested or more students there are in that area. You can see, large groups of students. When the other one catches up, we'll go into that one and look. I'm going to take that off because it can be a little... All right. So let's say that I need to change a boundary. All right. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to look at a boundary change. So this is Gregory Heights. And I'm going to take off the little Florida part here, and I'm going to actually tell you how many students are inside there. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on this tool. I'm just going to go ahead, do a rough drawing around that tool. All right. No, don't want the layer. 205 students inside that area. And that is that list over there on the side. So there are 29 special ed students who live inside here. There's 70 ELL students. 166 are home enrolled. And if you scroll down on the side over here, there's the colors on the side that match up to the kids if I go and click on the dots. So those dots now are represented over there on that color. So if I look at this particular section right here, that happens to be Mar Vista students that are inside that area. And it's just because they're right on the corner, and I probably went over top of it. If I drilled in a little bit more, you'd see that my line doesn't quite follow the street. See that line doesn't quite follow the street? So when you're out too far, you're making some assumptions. You don't follow the grid completely. All right. Here we go. Give me the dot distribution map. It's going to pop all the kids. Now this is all students that are in district enrolled, 19,814 as of last night. And if I go and I click on this one that's on Vashon Island, it'll give me the student. It'll tell me everything about that student. And I can scroll to the side and see every category that we have inside there. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here. Now we talked about, I have the ability to see other strands of data. If you look up here, I don't know if you can see this, but I have parcel information, but I also have voting information. So I work with King County. I got tax record information, I got voting information. Now it's not your specific vote on a proposition, it's that precinct's vote. Okay, so I get the entire precinct in terms of what's going on there. And I'll go ahead and I'll just put in some of these. So now I have all the precinct information, I have all the other data, and what I can then do is I can drill down specifically and I can find out, like this child right here, I have to be on the other map. But if I'm in the other map, I can get down to that child and I can find out how much that house is valued at, how many students live at that house, who that student is according to all the information we have in the student information system. Yes, Ellen?
So then what? So I was wondering, then what are you doing with that data? Like what conversations happen at cabinet? How does it inform
Right.
your bond and levy strategy?
So when we start looking at the propositions inside here, that's when it impacts our decisions in cabinet that talk about, all right, we have a student migration issue happening in one area. Why? Is it related to scores? Is it related to ethnicity? Is it related to they don't like the building because it's older? We go through all those questions, we start bringing it down, and then we'll do a thought exchange or something like that with that community to get data related to that community. So we somewhat target that information based upon trying to get to specific data at a site level. And we wouldn't go directly down to that family unit for that. We would stay inside a target area. So I'd select a school and I'd do that. So decisions based at cabinet level are based upon actionable data. You know how we work. Ellen used to work in Highline, so she knows a lot of the process. Susan Enfield is our superintendent. And Susan will come to me and she'll say, Mark, I need to know how many students are 3rd through 5th grade, ELL Spanish, ethnicity X inside this area. And she'll say, I'm not talking about school specific. She will actually point me a space on a map. Give me that data. So I will go in here to this one, turn off this, and she'll say, how many students live around SeaTac International Airport? This is a very broad one, but okay. So now this is going to pull that student base, sorry. There are 3,264 students inside this section right here, inside there. Then she'll say, now I don't want to know all that, so go in here and tell me the elementary students. So I'll go in, I'll choose elementary school, but she may even be more specific and she'll say 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then she may say, I want to know that they're ELL, true, and I want to know that their primary language is, what shall we choose? Somali. So now what it's doing is calculating there are 16 students inside there. And now I know that location. That may inform a decision about where a program goes in a school. Because I bet if I were to come over here to the overlays and I were to click on my little dot distribution, they're going to be primarily on the east side of the airport. There they are. There's a few up here, but most of them are over here. I know that because it's my district. Which means now I have to look at McMicken and I have to say, what's the impact to McMicken if we put a Somali program inside there? And can I take all the kids who are there into that section? So the tools inside here, where you get into the filtering, that's where the power of GuideK12 comes, because it is designed by you. The information that's in there is just what I use. Constantly work with Chuck's team. We add additional items inside there, but it's all information that we're collecting in our student information system. or our Business Plus finance system. So, or King County records. So when I come down here and I look inside here, all of these different things are inside here. And I have the 2019 homeschool area. I have their residence area. So I can now look and say, okay, show me where they reside too. I want to see where they came from. I want to see where they reside. And then they're enrolled. So there's 3 different areas inside there. It'll always tell you your criteria down here when you're doing your searches so that you know what you're impacting. You can do these same searches inside Planner, but you can't drill down into the data. You have to be inside Explorer to drill down to the data. And then if you were to go to Advisor, what it'll do is it'll map that data for you. So it's working to pull that data up. Caught it.
So the data itself is not being pulled from a student record system?
It
You
is.
happen to enter it all?
No, it's coming from my student information system.
And so it's dynamic?
It's dynamic. And from my finance system.
It's a nightly
And from my
import.
HR system.
Is it a nightly import?
It is.
So it's not live?
It's not a minute to minute. I can push it, so I can reach out to the team and say, we just did a massive enrollment, I need to move kids. I can push it.
How do you get map imports and map updates, like if they make new streets? Is that through like ArcGIS or something?
So we actually rely solely on GuideK12 for that. I've talked with North Shore extensively about that because we used to use ArcGIS and all that. We don't need it anymore. I can export, I'm not sure, it's probably my resolution. Resolution sometimes matters on this one. Let me put back here. Down in the bottom, there's a little export. I don't know if you see that green button down there.
Yeah.
When I'm in different functions, like in this particular one, the only option I have is current selection, map image, and map legend. So that's going to give me this, current selection, or it's going to give me the map image itself, or it's going to give me the legend of all the data that's in there and that I'm looking for. But if I go into Planner and I look at the export in Planner, I now have some additional ones. I have reports down in there, I have boundaries, I have the ability to pull CSV files, and I can pull shape files as well. So a shape file, then I can load into my transportation software, and it'll automatically put my new boundaries into the transportation software. So I don't have to work with Edulog or somebody else to remap everything and them come back and tell me it's going to be $2,500 per school for you to map this. No, I just gave you the mapping. You don't have to charge me that. You just have to upload it, or we'll upload it. I mean, our people know how to upload the maps, and then we just work with them from there. So this was quick and dirty inside here, but this is going to help inform the next section. So do you have questions about this before I go into the next one? Because the next one is really what this meeting is about, and that's called SchoolBondFinder. All right? Yeah.
What's the benefit, you'd say, to using this kind of a service over a different data visualization tool like Tableau or Power BI?
So Tableau, I haven't seen it as, we use Tableau. And we chose not to put it in Tableau because we didn't find it as effective for us and as easy for us to build. Power BI, well, it's Microsoft. I'm not a big Microsoft fan, so we're not going to put anything in Power BI. We do put it in Tableau, but
Was it easier, when you say it's easier here than Tableau, what is it, just the
What's
ability
easier?
to draw and, some of the things that make it easier, maybe some of
Chuck, can you upload this for me? That's
Well,
easier.
Yeah,
I don't have to have anybody trained.
okay. Yeah,
I
that's kinda
just,
what I was getting
I
to.
just build the export, I call his company, boom, it's in.
Okay.
And it may take, it could take a little bit of time if they have to build something, but
Right.
typically it doesn't take any time. It's, I want to add this in. We've now added it to our export. Can you make sure that that happens tomorrow or the next day? And then when I go in and I look at the software, a new filter's been added in there.
Well, and I see as you do different filters, I don't see it here, but I saw that you had a download button. Or,
Yeah.
you know, it's like if you had a set of student data right there.
Oh, yeah.
You say, oh, I want to hit download, let me see who those kids are.
Right here.
You could download it.
If I go back in here,
Yeah, that.
so let me delete all here. Go back and I'm going to clear all my filters. Okay. So now you see all my students, right? And if I actually go out a little bit further,
Oh, you're stealing from the
well, PSSC kids are inside here, so you have a lot of running start.
Yep. Yep, yeah,
But notice how I'm down in Spanaway,
sure.
Linwood. Arlington.
Yeah, okay.
We have staff that live up in Bellingham.
Wow.
We have staff that live over in Cle Elum, you know, clear over here. We have a staff member that lives over at the ocean, so they've got an apartment most likely in town. In fact, I can even look at staff. I can show you that. I've got all the staff data, so I can look at race and ethnicity of staff. I can find out what buildings they work in. I can find out where they live. And why do we use that?
When you draw the lines and you're setting up new boundaries, does it give you, oh, you are missing, you're down 5 staff members for this school because now you have X number of students, so you're short staffed?
Yeah.
That-
I mean, we used it for projection analysis. But what we mainly use the staffing for is we have, I think it's 1594, 1794 McKinney-Vento students who get transported. That transportation costs us $5 million a year. And what we do is we tag team them up with staff who live close by, and now staff are driving in those kids. So we've finally figured out some stuff where we've got kids who are living down in this area down here that need to get to school and they can't, and cabs are killing us. You know, you got one kid who lives less than 1 mile away from a staff member, and you go 4 or 5 miles north and there's a bucket of 2 or 3 more kids. That staff member will now stop and pick up those kids. And they don't bring them to their school, they bring them to a bus stop where the bus picks them up. So they're not responsible to get them to the school, they're only responsible to get them to a close bus stop. And then the bus will pick them up and take them the rest of the way. But we don't have enough drivers. Bus drivers are really hard for us to find right now. And we can't take school buses and send a school bus 40 miles out of the district to pick up 1 or 2 kids, and we don't have cars anymore. We've got a couple vans, so it's use taxis. We got one agreement with one taxi company that's a $500,000 for a year, but their agreement is that they have to be within the school district boundaries. They won't go outside of the school district boundaries. So they won't even drop over the ridge to go into Kent. That's their boundary. They just said that's not us. We use Orca, it's called. We buy a lot of tickets, or get a lot of tickets really from King County, and kids will take the Orca buses. But so in terms of staff though, maybe it's important for you to kind of see so that's our staff population. Now you can see it by building there on the side and by color. You can't really see it very easily, but this is the district boundary inside there, and now you can see where the staff are, and you see there's somebody clear over there. And These are all clickable, so I can click on it and find out who that staff member is, what building they teach at, what grade they teach at. So if I say I want to know who's right here, just come down there and click on it. It tells me it's Kelly Odell, female, African American, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Chinook Middle School. You know, tells me additional information about her. And I can drop that on an Excel and I can do whatever I want with it. That comes from our business software, Nightly as well, HR. Okay, so let's move over to this one. So SchoolBondFinder is actually a tool that is used to help you get better bond pricing and also get your information out there. So this is a tool, I'm currently showing Washington and Oregon on the map. Every one of those red dots that you see up there is actually a district that has a current bond project that is out. Okay, if Chuck knows what he's doing, he's able to pull in and he's able to find that. So if I come up here and I click on one of these right here, it's going to tell me this is Highline School District, and there's some information about that. If I go over here to Ellensburg, let me close that one. Well, that's not giving me my access. There it is. $59 million bond in Ellensburg. And here's the information on that, when it was voted on, the size, basically. Now, what I do is I go over here, and these are all building ones, and I look at school file sharing. And you see my name up there. So I share information. These are 3 files that I put in yesterday on Glacier Middle School, capital improvement plan, minutes related to that. And it's very easy for me to upload a file. What I can do is, let's just say somebody sent me a file inside my email. Sorry, you're hearing my phone go crazy. And we'll do Rosie. So Rosie sent me CFAC meeting notes. So I'm going to save that. CFAC is Capital Facility Advisory Committee. It's a group of community members, 70 of them actually, that meet on a regular basis, and what they do is they plan our buildings, their community. Not only are they part of the community, they're also partners in our community. So King County has a seat at the table. Dow Constantine, his office will come. We have the cities all have a seat at the table, so their planning people usually come. We have council members from our cities, but then we have open seats. We only have, I think, 5 employees who actually sit on the Capital Facility Advisory Committee, and all of them have kids in the district. So they're part of that group. So I've now saved that file. So I come in here and I choose File. There's that file right there. I open it. Okay. I say, go ahead, upload that file. If I give it a list, I'll call it CFAC. And I can put additional information in there. It's hard to type. Save the upload. CFAC meeting notes, meeting notes, and then you have the download. So now you can come in here and say, all right, so I have Auburn and I have Renton. Auburn is not quite adjacent to us. Renton is not quite adjacent to us. I have Tukwila between me. And then I have Kent to the side of me, I have Federal Way to the south of me, and I have Seattle to the north of me. What I can do is I can go in and say, you know, Renton just ran a bond. What did they run theirs for? I can go in there and find out the total amount. I can find out whether or not it passed. I can find out what schools are going to be renovating, because that's all public information. That information then helps me to plan. So when we go to our CFAC meeting, I pull that data back for CFAC and I say, okay, you asked, what is Seattle doing with that $1 billion bond that they just passed? What's their impact? Tukwila hasn't passed one, but what have they tried? So we'll go and we'll look at Tukwila. Renton is doing renovations at 3 buildings. This is what they're doing. Federal Way has a bond that they just can't pass. They've tried 2-3 times, and what did they do each time to try and pass it? And then Kent School District. Well, Kent School District is remodeling half of their elementary schools, and this is what we're doing. So I get the ability to come in here, and I can look at all the different context of those meetings, documents that they've shared with everybody. Anybody who has access to this has access to it. So if I want to view all the files, I can do that. If I want to view just my files, I can click on just my files. Then if I want to download this particular one here, it's there. Got additional information. So consider that this is a warehouse of information for you to gather and collect data from multiple sources when you're starting to plan. What's my tax implication here? So I wasn't lying when Seattle passed $1 billion renovation. They passed $1 billion bond for renovation. Highline, our last one, was passed in 2016 for $300 million. Prior to that, we had one in 2006, which was, I think, about $240 million, something like that. When I first arrived at Highline, we were building elementary schools at an elementary school that holds 600 kids. How much do you think that costs?
36.
What?
36 is what we paid last time about.
And when was that, Fletcher?
2016.
36 and,
Yeah.
okay. You said
16 to 20.
16 to 20.
Need 5,000 square foot one.
So in 2006, our bond, when we passed it, our elementaries were about 18 to 20 million. Our elementaries now are 45 to 50 million.
It's in the area.
And our our high school, Mount Rainier High School, which is a 1,700 student building, that was built in 2008. That was 74 million. And now that we're building Highline High School I think is 178 million. I think for Highline High School.
200 million.
Right.
For the new one here, 2,400 kids.
Yeah, and we just finished a brand new elementary, Des Moines, that I was talking about, and we just built a brand new, no middle school replacement. It's brand new middle school, Glacier, and it's 950 kids, and if I remember right, that is just short of 100 million. So data that resides on here, plannings. So I have all kinds of documents that I haven't uploaded yet because we're in the middle of this. So let me go back to my email and let me change this to Rod. So So Rod Sheffer, he sent me Bailey construction documents that I need to upload. They came on 4/24. Rosie's is inside there because the ROD doesn't necessarily mean it has to be together. You know that. Barb, my admin, has not uploaded some. She sent me some the other day, and she said, I need you to look at these before I upload them. And they are right here. So, board action items. These are all related to that. So if I go in there and I preview that, these are files that should be up inside there. Many times it's just a matter of how much time do you have to get the data in there and who are you going to give that access to. So in BondFinder, this should be, let me go back to here. I put my bond folks, or will be putting my bond folks inside here so that they can upload the documents instead of me, and then they can search for those documents. Lately it's been me doing all that and sending information to them. I don't have time for that. We have a CFAC meeting once a month, and we have to have that data in there because what we do is we pull that data out for when we're in the CFAC meetings. Okay. So what can I answer about this, or Chuck maybe can answer? Rob's kind of hiding back there. He broke his phone today. He had a little accident. Wasn't his fault.
I was going to say, it must be on purpose.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the key issues, what prompted this was a couple years ago, I got a call from the head of facilities in Anchorage Public Schools, and he said, can I please get access to this because I am desperate to network with other districts around the country that are doing these projects. And he can't compare himself with Soldotna, which is a small district to the south of Anchorage. He needs to talk with Federal Way, he needs to talk to Seattle, he needs to talk to Omaha, he needs to talk to other districts that are grappling with the same type of issues that he was grappling with. So that was really what prompted this. And then he had said, I need a place where I can have a collaboration. So this is really for senior leadership in districts. So it's not for just anybody, right? You have the ability to share documents. So I just came from RTM in Austin earlier this week, and had about 45 educators in the room, senior leadership, that were talking about really interesting projects they were doing with like LED lights and retrofitting and HVAC, and how they were wiring Cat 5 and the convergence of facilities and technology. And well, there's all these amazing projects that are going on that shouldn't have to just be replicated and recreate the wheel on your own. And so that's really the hope.
Upload your RFPs.
Right, throw up your RFP so that if you just wrote a killer RFP for a new telephony system that included this, that, and the other thing, why shouldn't you're already doing this, right? You're doing it when you're picking up the phone and calling each other. You're doing it at events like this. The whole point was to sort of provide a national forum for people to be able to share and easily find and collaborate with this kind of information. And then the other section, and I don't want to jump ahead, you actually can go in and find different providers. How much time do you go out there, digging to find architectural firms or construction management companies or, safety security. You're going to build some new secure vestibules. Well, you can go in here, you can start to search on those different providers based on how they're tagged. So now in about 2 seconds, you've got a list of however many providers that you can start to look at to determine. And by the way, you actually get to write your own rankings and reviews and have threaded discussions about were they great or were they terrible, and nobody else sees it. We don't share that data with the vendors. We share summary data, not identifiable, because frankly we want them to know if they're screwing up, and we want them to know if they're doing a good job. They don't need to know who said it.
1 out of 5 stars.
Right, if they're terrible, and and hopefully eventually those folks that don't do a good job. And again, I know you all do this, right? You're picking up the phone, you're saying these guys did a great job for us. They were terrible. Everything they did was late, it was over budget, it was whatever. This provides you a forum to be able to have that conversation privately amongst each other. And frankly, you're helping and you're getting help from other districts around the country, and hopefully less recreation of the wheel is really what the intention is.
In some respects, this also is document retention for us. More documents I put up inside here, those documents are now stored. I don't necessarily have to keep them in a different storage spot. Now,
Until the solar flare.
yeah, right. But my goal is, you know,
They're in a Verde cage, don't worry.
yeah, I want to be able to look at projects, and I want to be able to drill in and find stuff, and I want to be able to know what other people are doing close by me. Okay, so I said I don't have everything up there yet. I've got 4 E-rate RFPs that I'll be putting up inside there. One is a complete switch and backbone RFP with fiber inside the buildings, so that one's going to go up there. I did a lock and security camera RFP, so we're putting in, I think it's 1,600 rooms and 900 additional cameras in the district, so we wrote an RFP related to that. We did 3 phases of the locks, so there's actually 3 separate RFPs. So I have to put those up there and have to label them phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 because of some of them are new construction and it costs very little to upgrade the locks, and some of them are, I got a core drill an 18-inch wall to move cable between rooms. I'm not going to do all that, especially if I'm going to tear down the building before too long. So we changed the RFP a little bit for that. I have a 5-year with 10 one-year voluntary extension RFP for E-rate on 10 gig to 100 gig backbone. And so that's in the process of waiting for USAC to award it. And I have a 1 year with 2 one-year voluntary extensions on another 10 gig fiber network. It's our current one. It's just an extension of it. And then we were awarded what's called $60-80. Were you guys in 60-80 other Washington districts? So $60-80 were a specific award that came out of the legislature related to reducing class size. And so we got classrooms that are not modular, that are actually being built onto the buildings. I think we have 18 classrooms that are being added on to 4 existing buildings, and we'll be putting all that data inside here. And it's new construction, slab work. It's not pull in a portable and put a portable on it. It's a physical connection to the building. And then we're in the process right now of trying to determine in CFAC whether or not we're doing Evergreen High School, Pacific Middle School, and either Cascade or Chinook Middle School as a replacement for the next bond, or if we're going to do Tyee High School, Cascade Middle School, and Pacific Middle School, or if we're going to do Hilltop Elementary School and determine whether or not we're going to close 2 elementary schools and merge them into one, because we've got in our north boundary area oops, wrong one. This yellow and this green, there's 2 schools up there, elementaries. We're moving 6th grade out of our elementaries into middle school. And that's going to greatly impact the green one. The green one is already a 300 student school. It's called Southern Heights, and most likely it's going to drop down into the 200s. And the yellow one is Beverly Park Middle School, or elementary school, and it is 400 and something after the movement. What we're trying to determine is, are we going to build one school and merge those two schools together? Because we could build a 650 student school, and we have the property at Beverly Park to do it, and Southern Heights we don't. Southern Heights is it's below the state requirement. It's only about 3.5 acres total space, so we don't have enough room for playground and all that other stuff. So we have to go up, and we have to keep it small, so it would be a 3-story elementary in order to get the capacity. You're not going to build a 3-story elementary. It's not feasible. But we could build a very nice large building inside the Beverly Park boundary area, and it would service everything. So that's what CFAC is wrestling with right now. So that school, if they decided to do that one, the conversion of the two, that's probably about $100 million right there just for that elementary school by the time they merge the two together and build it. So what this does is it gives me the data that also feeds back into CFAC, because I can now come and say, this is how many kids live here, how many are in the boundaries, and let's do a couple tweaks here. I'm going to invert my selection, and I'm going to do clear all. How about I do McKinney-Vento true, and oh shoot, I'm in the wrong one. We want that. I'm going to go here. We're going to invert. I'm going to go here. And McKinney-Vento true. Okay, so now you see all my McKinney-Vento students in and out of the district, right? So how about if I go up here and I say, how about transfer status, transferring into the district? Now I only see the students who live outside of the district boundaries, and these are drillables. So if I come and click on that, I get all the kids who live in that particular area. So it tells me status about them. And they're in an apartment complex because the home is greater than $1 million. All right. But this now gave me everything but what's in my district. So I can do that for any of my selections. So this one happened to be that one. So let's do within the district. Let's see if anybody shows up there. Now it doesn't do anybody who's outside the district because I did within. And it says there's 274 McKinney-Vento that transfer within the district, meaning they lived in Des Moines area, but housing caused them to move into White Center Heights. So White Center Heights now still has that student. We transport from Des Moines to White Center, and that is from here up to here. And then we have to calculate all of our transportation costs and all that. All right, ask away. This
I
one.
might have missed it, but is the SchoolBondFinder and the GuideK12, are those standalone or are they all packaged?
They're separate. So the 4 modules in GuideK12 are the school lookup, we call
Oh, yeah.
school search. Advisor, which is the charting and graphing. Explorer, which is the area that Mark was just in. And then planner. That's all one package. Annual per student. SchoolBondFinder is just separate repository for those big bond and levy initiatives. And that's $2,500 a year for as many senior administrators as you want. I mean, that's,
So,
our hope again is it's a drop in the bucket for people because those initiatives are so high stakes that it just gives us the ability to do all the technology that's on the back end. 2,500.
in this particular instance, it knows all my addressing inside the system. So if I start typing in a number, so I did 431 South 152nd, that's where I used to live. I click on that, it'll then find it and it'll give me the schools that I'm in. So it'll now tell me that my high school is Highline High School, my elementary school is Cedarhurst Elementary, excuse me, and my middle school is Glacier, and that's the new boundaries. So if you gave me something else, like if I put in 4511 South 297th, that's my current residence. You see, I don't fit in any of those schools. I'm not in the district. But if I went to, let's just do 1/60th. So now I'm starting to look at just 160th. So what we do is we tell the office staff, you go here and you validate somebody also who comes in with I come in with an outdated electricity bill and you want to confirm it. You know, is that truly where they live? Well, you can drill in here and you can find out. Then you can ask them a question about it. Be a little bit more specific if you want to try and get into it. Sometimes we get parents who will take a picture of their porch and it's got the numbers on it and they'll say, is this sufficient? I'm sorry, it's not. But we do have an enrollment process where we'll take people who are out of the district. However, the out of district is the last for acceptance into the school, and we wait for that until really at the end of the enrollment process, because we don't want to lose a homeschool seat to somebody who's from out. And you're not guaranteed once you're in to stay in. Right. So you are allowed to stay. So say you come in third grade and that school only goes till fifth grade, you're allowed to stay there for third, fourth, and fifth. But you're not guaranteed to go into the feeder pattern for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So you have to put in for a new enrollment if you want to go into one of those others.
So what's this pricing structure for this? How's it licensed? What's the cost?
GuideK12 annual software as a service, and it's a per pupil pricing on an annual basis. So I don't even know what you guys are at.
Right.
I don't know. I've been on it for a number of years now. 5 years maybe?
Yeah, I mean it's $2 down to around $1, depending on the size of the district. We have people tell us all the time that a demographic study will cost 3 times what it costs them to do this. So. And we do have a number of districts we work with in the Pacific Northwest. We actually work with districts across the U.S., ranging from Miami-Dade Public Schools that we've been working with for 8 years now, to districts of a couple hundred kids, which I think is interesting because they don't necessarily need it with 500 kids or 700 kids, but we work with them, everything in between.
Are you on any purchasing agreements now, like OETC or as far as procurement avenues?
We've done some of the national ones.
Okay, so probably, yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
OETC not, we've talked with them and would be more than happy to. And we've got enough clients you can piggyback off of somebody else's RFP that you can go and post in SchoolBondFinder and find there and download it.
If I had access to it.
Good.
My district office.
Home sweet home.
Home Sweet Home. This used to be where Sonny and Cher sang, called the Highliners Club. So if you ever look up that, you can find out that Sonny and Cher sang. There's also an indoor archery range. So if you lift up the ceiling tiles, you can still see the tracks in the ceiling where the used to run the stuff back and forth. All right. If you have any questions, ask me. If you need a demo of the software, it's separate from them, but I can do that too. All righty. Have a great